Welcome, everyone. As the K Mason Foundation, we are super proud to be hosting this webinar, and we thank you all for joining in and being part of today. To introduce myself, my name is Lauren Bright, and I'm the CEO at the K Mason Foundation. The objective of today is to look at the benefits of contributing to an NPO from a triple BEE skills development, social economic development perspective, and of course, a tax perspective. We will also be looking at how to identify credible charities in South Africa. We also want to let you know that you can please comment in the comment section during the course of the webinar, and we will have a Q&A session at the end. To introduce our speakers today, we have Ziggy Prinsloo of the SIGNA Group. Thank you for joining us. And we have Claire Colby from Recro Business Services. Thank you, ladies, for being here. Right, let's get the show on the road. First up is the topic of what are the benefits of contributing to an NPO from a triple BEE skills development and SED perspective. Our first speaker is Ziggy Prinsloo. She is the Strategic Relationship Manager for the SIGNA Group. She looks after clients and ensures that they have the best solutions for each element on the BEE scorecard, including ownership, skills development, and enterprise and supplier development. We welcome Ziggy to stage.
Good morning, and thank you for that introduction. As you know, we're speaking today about the financial benefits of charitable donations with a perspective from a BEE perspective. So before we get into the nitty-gritty, I want to start with a quote. And this is actually what my lecturer used to say when I studied in Germany. I did a commercial mediation course, and when you talk about disputes and people having to mediate disputes, he always said, it's always about the money. It's never only about the money. And I think the same is absolutely true when it comes to charitable giving. It's about the money, but it can never only be about the money. And so I'm keeping that in mind. So SIGNA Group, who I work for, we started out as a purely strategy advisory business for BEE strategies and compliance. And I've noticed with the time, with the change of codes and things changing in the industry, that there's a big need for offering solutions. And so we've also focusing now on offering solutions in terms of each element. And very important for us is the same as how it cannot only be about the money. For us, it's also it cannot only be about compliance. So BEE is often seen as a compliance issue, but it is so much more than that. It really is about making a meaningful difference, using the tools we have to make sure the impact we make is effective and makes a difference in somebody's life. So just as a starting point, when we talk about BEE, you may know that there's no legislative requirement for anybody to have a BEE certificate. But the instances where you would need one is, for example, if you have doing business with government, if your client requires it, so you're supplying to a business who requires a certificate. And then for licensing, so you'll find that whether it's a liquor license or export licenses, there may be requirements linked to that for BEE certificates. There are also some changes in the industry, so if it's not yet, it might come soon. And then growth opportunities, so businesses will may be quite comfortable in their current circumstance and not need a certificate, but know that if they need to grow or if they want to do business with specific clients, that they would need a BEE compliance certificate. And then the last reason would be just in terms of reputation, or being able to see or show people that you are serious about making a difference in our nation. So once you've determined that you need to be BEE compliant, the following criteria is very important to your approach and your strategy for your BEE compliance. is that firstly, I believe your strategy must always make business sense. It must make sense for your business. What you implement, the strategy you implement must make sense in terms of business and, if possible, get a return on investment. Then you need to minimize your cost, maximize your points on the scorecard, and maximize your impact. So when I speak about return on investment, it can be very practical and actual return on investment, like for enterprise, supplier development, and ownership. You can make a minority investment, you make an investment in a business and earn a return on investment as you would in any normal investment. With socioeconomic development, it's often not a direct return on investment. It's more in terms of having a long-term solution, having a sustainable solution, focusing on education and tools of education where you're investing in people for changing their lives, and the return is then obviously a change in our communities and a change in our country. This is not just a nice idea, it's also a requirement in terms of the Act. So the Act requires that you spend 1% of your net profit after tax to previously disadvantaged South Africans, with the specific objective to facilitate income-generating activities to beneficiaries. So that is sort of the focus that the codes, that's what differentiates the socio-economic development from corporate social investment. And then minimizing cost. In terms of your overall BEE picture, you need to spend money or implement certain strategies, but you want to do it in a cost-effective way. And that is also where the tax benefits come in, what Claire will tell you more about. But so, for example, for skills development, structuring your skills development, you'll see the targets are often quite daunting. So for saying you need to spend 6% of your salary bill on skills development sounds like a lot of money. If you structure it correctly, you can end up paying less than 1% for getting the majority of your points and so on. So one needs to be very strategic when looking at these things. In maximizing points, when you look at socio-economic development, it's often the easiest and the quickest way to get your points on the scorecard. It's also the easiest to justify because it's 1% of your net profit after tax, and it is always for a good cause. And most people want to already make a difference and want to do it right. So that's usually the easiest money to spend in that sense. And then also some sectors have specific bonus points, so where you spend and how you spend also makes a difference. And then maximizing impact, which I think is the most important, is to make sure the money you do spend or the investment you do make can make a meaningful difference. And this is actually why I like working with the K. Mason Foundation, because we know that the children that are being sponsored are being looked after on a holistic scale. So it's not just a bursary for studies for a year. You see these children, and you'll see later on as well, they are developed as a whole people and come out of the program wanting to make a difference, grateful for opportunities, and that's why I love the K. Mason Foundation. And then making a long-term commitment where you can. So for a number of years, supporting a student even beyond maybe secondary into tertiary education, where you can then get on your BEE scorecard also the points for bursaries specifically for tertiary education. And then where the specific elements on the scorecard that you can score on for giving to NPOs would be in terms of an ownership structure. So you can, the codes provide for the broad-based ownership schemes through a trust where a non-profit company or an NPO can form part of your ownership structure, and where the beneficiaries are, obviously there are requirements in terms of the beneficiary base, and all those sort of things. There's a long list of requirements in terms of trustees, but that is definitely an excellent way that you can give and then also get BEE ownership recognition. The second way is your socio-economic development as you all know, and I've mentioned before, it's 5 points on the DTI scorecard for 1% expenditure of your net profit after tax. That may vary from sector to sector, but that is the general sector. And then skills development, where there are 6 points available on the general scorecard for general expenditure, which includes also bursaries. So all these areas are actually areas where you can get recognition for your expenditure from a BEE perspective. Also, when you get to the verification process, you obviously want to be able to get the recognition for everything you've spent, and the K. Mason Foundation or the charity that you give to should then be in a position to supply you with all the supporting documents. Yeah, and that's basically it from me. Just a reminder that, you know, it's all, when we talk about this targets and the points and the scorecards and the levels, it becomes very sort of, it seems like, yeah, it's just very statistical, but in the end of the day, it really is about making a meaningful difference and making an impact on our nation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ziggy. That was wonderful and very informative. Our next speaker will be speaking on the benefits of contributing to an NPO from a tax perspective, so tax deductions and Section 18A certificates, and how to identify credible charities in South Africa. So Claire Colby is a director of Recro Business Services, and she's a chartered accountant, a registered auditor, and an accredited psycho skills assessor with over 25 years experience. Claire started her company Recro Business Services in Cape Town in 2009. She has been involved with pre-issuance and quality review audits for the Auditor General and ICANN, as well as assisting as an expert and quality control reviewer on larger audits. So we welcome Claire. Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren, for the introduction. I'm going to be covering the advantages of donating to an NPO. A little bit about me. You've heard from Lauren, but just a bit more. I built my own business from scratch. I know what it's all about, and we believe in not only the compliance, but actually creating businesses that generate wealth. And I'm going to touch on one or two of those things, how NPOs can help you there. And I'm passionate about small businesses and about NPOs making a difference in this country. So what I'm going to cover is charitable giving budgets and spending wisely, very important today in terms of especially what's going on in the country and the world. What is a PBO, Section 18A advantages, and getting a return on your charity investment. So what is a charitable giving plan? So what we recommend, most people want to give back. I think it's inherently in us. You know, when you are blessed, you want to kind of bless other people. And social responsibility is an ethical theory that an entity, be it an organization or individual, has an obligation to act for society at large. So having an actual charitable giving plan has got quite a few advantages. If you've got a plan and make it part of your budgeting process in the beginning of the year, you say this is how much you're going to be giving to charity, and at that point, you know, suggesting that you actually choose the charities that you're going to be supporting. One, it's very good for your business to have a budget. And two, you can be guilt-free, because I know a lot of us are kind of asked throughout the year, throughout time, to give to this person, give to that person, and sometimes you're feeling guilty, and on the whim of the moment you want to give to something, and you don't actually know, is this person reputable and not. But you can actually say, okay, what, we've got a charitable giving plan, maybe next year we've got this in place. Having a charitable giving plan is amazing for staff motivation. Touching on what Ziggy said, it's not just about the money, especially for the younger generation. They are motivated by doing a bit more than just the purpose of their job. So What we do in our organization, we've got charities we give to monthly, but we've got money aside. If we're making a profit in that, a certain percentage goes to charity, and the staff actually get involved in choosing the charity and motivating why we want to actually donate to that charity. It's quite a team bonding thing. And of course, marketing, promotion. You're doing good, and Raymond Ackerman always said doing good is doing good for business. So there are some advantages there. So what is a registered PBO? PBO, NPC, NPO, all kind of the same thing. You want to be dealing with a reputable nonprofit. This is part of the spending wisely. So for a registered PBO, they have to go through quite a rigorous registration process with the Social Development Department. They have to have a proper constitution. They have to have objectives that and a whole lot of policies that outline exactly how they're going to get the money, how they're going to spend that money, and how they're going to actually be accountable for that money. Social Development has to approve them first, and then SARS has got to approve them on 2 different levels. Firstly, for the tax exemption, and secondly, if they want to be issuing Section 18As. There's a set list of what those charities can only do. So these charities as well that are registered PBOs, they have to be audited annually by a proper auditing firm. There's only 1,800 auditors in South Africa, so it's a rigorous audit that they have to undergo, and that involves making sure compliance and their controls is there, that the monies are spent properly. So if you working with a registered PBO, that's your first level, that your money is actually going to be used for what it's actually intended. There are so many charities and organizations out there, but let's make sure your money is spent properly. So what is Section 18A? It's a part of the Tax Act, and basically what it means for if you've got a Section 18A and you're issuing these certificates, as I said, you need to be audited annually. The Section 18A donations can only be spent for the objectives of that charity. They can't be spent for anything else. So you know that your money is going directly to the purpose and the cause that the charity is saying that it's spent for. Part of that is, because they have to be audited, and the PBO has to submit this audit to SARS every single year. They submit all these certificates, and you know that you're actually going to get that deduction. It's a guarantee for you that your money is being spent correctly as the donor. Usually, also on this, every single NPO has to submit to Social Development every year, not only their tax compliance and their audited financial records. They have to also submit a report on exactly what the organization has been doing, so that Social Development also issues them with an NPO clearance certificate every year, which is quite important. So the donor advantages of Section 18A are that you can donate up to 10% of your taxable income. That's if you're an individual or you're a business, except for lump sum payments on individuals. You can donate cash or property. With property, if you donate that, there's no CGT that you need to pay, which is quite nice there. But little warning here, if you're going to be donating to a organization that is not properly registered, you could actually find yourselves liable for 20% of donations tax. That is not a nice surprise to get. The other thing with donations, if you want to contribute more than 10%, you can roll that over to the next year. It could also be something that you use to incentivize staff. You have your chosen charity and you can maybe do a 50-50 with your staff or something like that. They can get that advantage every month as a reduction of their PAYE, as long as they've got the proper Section 18A certificates, and that's all in place there. The only caveat to that, it must be a charity that is in South Africa. Very, very important, before you are considering supporting an NPO, you need to do your research. You need to make sure that this is a legitimate business. You need to have a look at their board members, their leadership and staff, current and past donors, financial statements and founding documents, all of those things. Proof of registration, current tax clearance certificates. If they're not submitting their tax return and they're not submitting their Section 18A certificates and they're not up to date, SARS does a link between what you're submitting on your tax return, where you have to fill in the numbers of your certificates, and what they're submitting. And if that's not there, you're not going to get that deduction. So that's quite important. Then you want to have a look at their social media activity. Now, if you look on the KMF website, all the stuff is on their website, transparent and readily downloadable for you to check and see that this organization is totally compliant and your money going to this organization is safe and it's being used. Not only that, have a look at their social media activity. You see it's been actively used. You see the kids that are benefiting from the education and all the interventions and workshops that they do with them. So just a little bit on Section 18A certificates. They need to have a registration name, number, and contact details of a charity, all of that on there. They have to have the certificate number. That certificate number is linked. It's to the certificate that's sent through to SARS annually, and then the amount and the date and year of assessment on that to make it valid. So in conclusion, donating is the right thing to do for so many reasons. Charitable planning is motivational, beneficial to your business as a whole. And Section 18A, registrations dealing with a proper registered PBO, make sure that your money is spent wisely and it's making a proper difference in the country and in terms of what you care about, and that it's a tax advantage for you. So if you have any questions, please keep them coming on the chat box and we'll answer them a little bit later. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Claire. That was really informative. So I'm going to chat a little bit about the K. Mason Foundation. You've heard a little bit about what we do, but I thought I will just give you an overview and summary of who we are. So we're an NPO that provides scholarships to senior scholars who have incredible drive, commitment, and potential. So we take that potential and we nurture it. And, these are scholars who would normally not have the access to the education that they deserve. So we offer these scholarships in the Western Cape, and we support these scholars with excellent education and psychosocial support programs that really unlock that potential so that these scholars can go on to become tomorrow's leaders and change makers. So the K. Mason Foundation was founded in 1999 by novelist Richard Mason to eliminate the barriers to quality education for underserved children and to bridge the opportunity gap, which is one of South Africa's greatest challenges at the moment. To summarize our vision and our mission. So our vision is to ensure equal opportunities through quality education, thereby building a nation of leaders and achievers. Our mission is that we provide talented, underprivileged scholars in South Africa access to quality education, support and life opportunities that build tomorrow's leaders. Our approach, as Claire and Ziggy have mentioned as well, it's really a holistic approach. So it's not only to produce excellent academic results, but also for our scholars to uplift the communities in which they're from and to cultivate future leaders to build a better nation. So our holistic approach encompasses the following principles: a holistic assessment tool that establishes individual potential, an academic tutor program. Scholars must maintain a 65% academic average in all subjects. We offer extensive mentorship programs. Our latest mentorship program is the Catapult program, which is really to link up our scholars to global experts in the field that they wish to pursue in order to catapult them to success. Our various psychosocial development programs, life skills workshops, and of course, home support. If we look at the yearly scholar funding system that we have, it's 65,000 Rand to support a scholar annually, and that will cover the following items: mentoring, transport, uniforms, data and devices, which is obviously very crucial at the moment with the pandemic, stationery, workshops, school fees, and tutoring. So this infographic really sums up what we do. And what I really want to focus on in this infographic is the 3 pillars of how we run the K. Mason Foundation. These 3 pillars are based on joy, which I'm going to speak on after this, impact, and credibility. And I think credibility, both Claire and Ziggy have mentioned, what makes an NPO credible in South Africa. But in terms of joy, we think of the joy of giving. So the joy that the donor gets in giving and being part of building a scholar's future, but then also the joy of the scholar. Right, the joy of giving. Now, when we think of joy, I know some of you might be still sitting in your pajamas, and joy could be that first morning coffee that you've had. But joy obviously means various things to various people. But in this time of the pandemic, I think it's given us all a lot of time to really pause and reflect on our lives and reflect on why are we here. Let's talk a minute about philanthropy. Philanthropy can be broadly defined as the love for humankind. It is derived from the Greek word philos, which means loving, and anthropos, which means humankind. In the words of Timothy Pina, philanthropy is not about money. It's about feeling the pain of others and caring enough about their needs to help. Muhammad Ali once said, "Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth." Mahatma Gandhi said, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." The smallest act of kindness is worth way more than the grandest intention, in the words of icon Oscar Wilde. So the benefits of giving, they are numerous. In fact, I think there's too many benefits to giving that will fit onto these slides, but I just want to hone in on about 4 of those. It really does transform your perspective, and there's no better way to adopt an attitude of gratitude than by asking yourself how to give back to the community. Helping others can make you realize just how much you have to be grateful for. It really fulfills your deepest human need. And as human beings, we innately realize the importance of giving back to society because it fulfills our deepest human need for connection and for community, and even for your own personal growth. Growth is one of those needs, as I've just said, but volunteering also fulfills our needs for contribution and significance, making us feel needed, unique, and helpful, and valued. Studies in America have shown that those that were donating, 68% reported that they felt physically healthier, 73% said that their stress levels decreased, and 89% said that they had an improved sense of overall well-being. And studies have also shown that longer lifespans are evident in seniors who volunteered regularly. So as long as you are always focusing on your purpose and your contribution and what significance you can add to the rest of the world, it is a very healthy decision to make. And I always joke with friends and family and my team, and I say I will never, ever stop contributing and serving, and I will work till the day that I die, because I really know that when you do what you love, you don't have to work a day in your life. And find the thing that you love doing, that you never, ever want to stop doing. You never, ever want to stop contributing and serving. So we are very proud to have Archbishop Desmond Tutu as our patron. And, he said this beautiful quote, "Ultimately, our greatest joy is when we seek to do good for others." So I just want to quickly speak about one of the quotes we received from a donor, which I'm going to read. The K. Mason Foundation is an inspirational organization, especially in their response to the COVID pandemic, during which they have adapted their role and extended their support by offering practical help to scholars' families as well where needed. We love receiving the regular reports and hearing how the scholars are progressing, especially the one that we are sponsoring, and we are excited to know that these exceptional young people will be making positive contributions to the future of South Africa. So what we do is personal. The donor gets to walk a path with the scholar for as long as they wish, building a strong bond. The scholar knows that not only is this person investing in them financially, but that the donor cares for their emotional well-being and their ultimate success. The donor believes in the scholar, and it can often be that one person that believes in you that makes all the difference. So I will ask you today, what is your purpose? Is it knowing that someone else breathed easier because of you? Because of you, someone else has a hope and a future? You can change someone's tomorrow, and you can do it today. I want to introduce Jordan Rudge to all of you, and he's one of our Alumni 2020 scholars, and he's done exceptionally well. He's an absolute inspiration. When you see his video, you will realize what the K. Mason Foundation is all about. So he's now studying BA Accounting at the University of Stellenbosch, and his dream is to be the next Finance Minister of South Africa. And here's a picture of Jordan with Trevor Manuel, and he's put that out. I think he's told Trevor that he would like to be the next Finance Minister, and we totally believe that he will. So we're going to show the video of Jordan and really enjoy this moment. It's a very special video. So over to you.
My name is Jordan Raj. I've been part of the K. Mason since 2016. I currently live in Retreat, Steenberg. I'm currently in my first year at Stellenbosch University studying BAc. As a child, growing up, I noticed that a lot of the children, there was a lack of role models. There was a lack of good role models. There was role models, but not for the good reasons. There was those role models who would influence you to drink, smoke, be involved in gangsterism and violence. Also, another challenge is definitely proper education. Before I was part of the KMF, I would say my life was as a narrow road because I didn't have as many opportunities as I have now. I allow myself to dream as big as I'm dreaming now because I was part of the K. Mason. Ever since I've joined the K. Mason, I've been able to dream bigger. But not only that, I've met some all-inspiring people, from meeting the finance minister, former finance minister, Trevor Manuel, to meeting some of the biggest CEOs in the country. And it's inspiring to hear from where they came from. It's relatable. Them telling their stories is telling me, I also have a shot at it as long as I put the work in. So I think the K. Mason allowed me definitely to dream bigger and think of way more opportunities and goals that I can achieve for myself. Education is definitely, if not the most important thing that not only us as South Africans but the whole world should focus on, because at the end of the day, without education, how else is the future going to learn about the past mistakes and the current affairs to improve in the future? So I think education allows us to think differently and to think of solutions to better, not only this country but the entire world. There was a lot of initiatives. Definitely there was many workshops since I started in 2016. There's workshops about time management, workshops about just how to improve yourself, workshops about goals, social workshops, how to be more presentable, just how to be a better person. A lot of the workshops, I think it also helped me build a lot of confidence, building a better self-esteem for myself and for, I'm sure, a lot of other K. Mason scholars. There's also a great program called the Buddy System that allowed, people outside K. Mason to partner with current students. It's not a formal thing, it's a very much social thing where your buddy just takes you out and allows you to experience things that you wouldn't normally experience. For me, what I want for the KMF, the K Mason Foundation, is just to grow and expand and reach more people. You know, I want people I want people to want to be involved in the K Mason. I want them to have that urge to be part of K Mason. You know, to have that FOMO, that fear of not being part of it, and be like, oh, I wish I was part of it. I want them to stamp their mark as one of, if not the best high school bursaries in this country, and just have an everlasting impact on all students and future students.
Well, I hope that you're all feeling inspired, encouraged, and motivated. I know that Jordan is just such an amazing scholar, and we have so many other scholars just like Jordan who are really going to be the phenomenal future of South Africa. So we've actually decided to field questions via email just to be able to allocate the right time towards those. So we will be sharing a link right now. Once the webinar has closed, we will share the link and an email address that you can field any questions to, so that we can really take the time to make sure we give you the correct answer, and kind of build a relationship with you and support you on your journey as well. And we hope that today has really benefited you. I know we have various people watching from corporates, from other NPOs, our KMF supporters of Recro and SIGNA, and we just want to say thank you for taking the time out and for being here today. And I just want to say thank you to Claire and Siggy for your beautiful insight into these very complicated matters at times, but so crucial to what NPOs like ourselves do. And we thank you for your investment in what we do as well. And thank you to Two Ocean Events and to Rosie's Decor, and to Tash and Tess, who are absolutely phenomenal. We really appreciate you. And may you all have an absolutely blessed day, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.